What up, what up, what up? Happy Tuesday, day. What is going on, everyone? I'm Shadell, co-host of Paging the Simpsons. I'm joined by my lovely wife,
Lauren.
And man. So, guys, if you are a new listener, what is going on? If you're an existing listener, how are you doing? I hope everyone's having a great December. And I figured with this episode we're gonna bring things home. I believe the day this is out is our anniversary day. Is that the day or the day?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He says, I believe. Look at that. He's like every other man.
I don't have the calendar, so let's not do that.
Nope.
Do you want to get pushed off a chair?
Not really. It wasn't on the agenda.
Okay. So, we're going to get into this bad boy here. I figured I would go through our, what led us here, and probably go over, somewhere within that afterwards, going over the last year of marriage is kind of a thing, since I know we have new people, and even if you aren't new and you've been listening to us for like the last 6 months or so or whatever, this is like giving you an idea of who we are and everything as we move forward into 2021. I figured why not? Also to throw this out there, probably for the week of December, or month of December, goddamn, we're probably gonna do audio only episodes, only because our office is currently being held captive by a Christmas tree.
It's taken over. I love it. It's huge for this place. We bought it when we first moved in. We were like super excited to have like a legit tree. And yeah, it kind of takes up half the office. So, we only have a couple more years of that, hopefully, and then it'll make more sense in like a living room or something. But for now, we just got to make do for a month every year. But I think it's worth it because it's an epic Christmas tree. It rotates. It has 8 different light functions. It's amazing. It's my pride and joy every year.
Cool story, bro.
Listen. I know there's people that can relate.
Okay. So back to our story. So, guys, to start it back to the beginning of this. So, we've been together for don't tell me this, six years. As of the day you're listening to this, if you're listening to it on Tuesday. Right? Am I wrong? Am I off? Right?
No, you're right. I just love how like iffy you are about it. You're like,
time is flying. When people used to ask me like a year or two ago, it was easy because the numbers were smaller. But numbers are getting bigger, and like
wait till it's double digits.
Like I'm gonna be like, what?
You're gonna be like, it could be 10 years, it could be 20. It's whatever.
Forever.
Well, and now it's kind of funny because we made it more complicated because we got married on our original anniversary. So now I like it because then we could say, oh, happy first wedding anniversary and 6 years of being together. I kind of like pairing that together, but now it just makes it more complicated for you.
Because if
you're welcome.
I just look at everything as a collective. It's like screw the separating thing. Like I never really understood that part with like, let me separate the amount of years you've been married versus how long you've been together. I'm like, it's still the same thing. Like, what's the difference? Thoughts?
Like, as in what you're calling an anniversary?
No, it's
or
like...
just...
No, like people separate. They're like, we've been together for 20 years and I've been married 20 years and, together for 25.
Okay, what about it?
Why separate it? Like, I don't really understand that. Like, why can't I just do, 25 years together?
I don't know, because really what happens is, like, most people either just drop it, or especially if you get married on a day that isn't your original anniversary, you just usually drop the original, and pretty much the wedding anniversary is, like, the new one that you recognize. Mm-hmm. So, like, most people will just be like, we've been married 25 years. Like, most people don't go into the whole, but we've been together 30, So, but, I mean, I still think it's kind of valid and important because, obviously, you've been together longer than that.
That's great, because I plan on doing that forever. Like, I'm not separating it. So, cool. Glad you're good with it.
Well, yeah, I just told you. I thought it was cool that we could put it on the same date for that reason.
So, let's get back on topic.
Back on track.
So, we got together in I'm blank. Not November, December 15th of 2014. And yeah, at the time, being in a interracial relationship, I would say the first few months were very like, we don't know really how to conduct ourselves outside of it. It was very like, worried about what other people thought of your relationship type thing, I would say. And over time, we don't care. We're comfortable with each other, all that stuff, we rock. But like, I would say that was one of the things I remember as being like a thing for at least 6 months or more.
Yep. And then there was, because it started with like that time in Denny's on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
So we had been together like officially only like 2 weeks. And we went to Denny's with our friends after sleeping over for New Year's. And we just had this moment where there were a couple girls who just look at us a certain way. And it was weird because neither of us had dealt with that before. So it was one of those that it's like, you have a problem? Like, I don't know. I felt super awkward because I felt like I was an issue. And I'm like, what's the issue?
Yeah.
So that was like the first kind of experience that made it feel different, even though it shouldn't be different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then it's just I would say over the time it gets interesting being in an interracial relationship because you're sitting here like, man, there's so many things, even to this point, or to this day, I should say, where like there's some things where you think you would know, but you don't know, and some things you would think I would know, like that I don't know.
Yeah, like celebrities and like music and movies, we differ on for what we grew up on and who we knew and who our parents like were loving and who they shared with us and that kind of thing. It's funny because I'll be like, how do you not know this person? They're like a legend. And he'll be like, not in my household. Like, and then he'll say the same to me. And it's kind of funny because you grow up in different types of households.
Well, I could be like I'm on Clubhouse. I'm on Clubhouse a lot, so like I know a lot of people, at least in the rap sphere and entrepreneurs, things like that, and they're all on Clubhouse. So I'd be like, "Yo, this person's in here," and then you have no idea, and it's like I don't want to break down all this person's like accolades and stuff like that just for you not to like remember or care about it. So whatever, but it's just crazy that like you don't know who this person is.
Yeah, who was it? You said last night you were like,
oh, there was. I'm sure if you guys listening, you're on Clubhouse. If you're not, it sucks for you. but
wow.
But academics joined Clubhouse and like, yo.
Yeah.
So academics.
I had no idea when it was spelled different. And
he's a popular like YouTube personality type of thing, I guess you could say, but branched out of that. And a lot of rappers have issues with him because of a lot of controversial stuff he puts out there, and it got very like heated because him and Meek have had issues in the past. So it got very tense. And that Clubhouse, I didn't realize, Clubhouse caps those rooms out at 5,000. They were like, we're not having another Kevin Hart issue again. So
I mean, which I don't think is insane anyway, because 5,000 is a lot of people.
But sooner or later, I'm pretty sure they're gonna have to up it once it becomes public, and then once Android people get in, they're gonna have to up that a lot more. But I'm just saying because I had to keep refreshing because the room gets laggy after 5,000 people. So then you have to keep refreshing and wait till it gets down when like people start leaving so you could get right back in.
But anyways, so circling...
God damn, I hate you.
Circling back to what we were talking about, I have no idea who Academics is. And like he texted it to me and he spelled it different. And I was like, I have no idea. He was like shocked that this person was there. And I'm like, okay...
Yeah,
who?
Academics.
I was like, so
Rob Markman.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's the same in reverse, so it's just really interesting.
But yeah, so just learning that. I will say, I'm sure you felt this way. It's in the early stages, since we're getting around the holidays. It was weird going out because it was my first time outside of like my white friends, like going with like my significant other's family that's not black. like going out
right.
places.
Right.
That was like, man, it's like, it's weird because no offense, no offense to you and your family, but like, yeah, I'm like the one black guy with like 400 or 500 white people.
So it's
and
like, get out.
I'm just here. Like, and like over time, like you get used to it, but those early stages, I'm just like, oh, this is.
I
weird.
mean, well, not for nothing. I felt the same, but in reverse.
Yeah, but we didn't go anywhere with my family like that.
No, but I like your different get-togethers, like for the holidays and cookouts and stuff like that. That is something I've never really done as much, and also, done as much with, another ethnicity, so that it was all black except for me, or like one other person. And that was it sounds funny, but that was like the first time that I really was constantly immersed into an area where I was the minority.
Yeah.
Because again, I grew up in a town where we had a sprinkling of of different colors, and it was pretty white. And so here I am, and I thought it was funny because even then, elaborating on that, when we would go to movies, certain movies we would see, and again, I felt like the minority of who was in that crowd because of like the type of movie it was. So it was weird to me at first. It felt like I was intruding or like misplaced. It felt like, different. So,
well, because okay, to skirt away from this, I mean, this is interesting because from this conversation, people would understand it, that have been a part of it, or if they're not, this is to give them like an inside look. So I'm cool with this.
And especially if you don't have a diverse friend or family group.
So it's interesting that you feel that way because that it's showing you like this is how I feel when I go into like these all white spaces, and I'm sitting here looking for that one black male or black female that I can like not necessarily go up and talk to, but know that like I'm not the only one. I have someone else that can relate to me, hopefully, and have this shared experience with. And you've seen this when we're out places where like there's always some black guy, something like that, would like just give like a nod or say what's up.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. I remember, what was it? Even like a few months ago, we were on a walk and some dude like said something to you that like as if he knew you, and I was like, "Do you know him?" And he's like, "No."
It's just it's a common thing. It's kind of like a courtesy as a black man, pretty much.
And that is something that does not happen with white people. If anything, we do the awkward white smile. You know what I'm talking about? Where we're just like,
I do that all the time.
Like like you're passing someone by and you make eye contact with them, but you don't want to have a stone face. Mm-hmm. That's it. It ain't like, hey, you're my homie.
Yeah. And
that's so interesting.
Yeah. It's I like it because it makes you feel like everyone understands your plight, and like I feel comfortable when there's another black person there, because I feel like if something goes down, I have someone that I know is hopefully going to back me because they understand where I'm coming from and because of my skin color, and we're minorities, so we know what it feels like. So I love that. But yeah, that's like an interesting thing where it's like you don't see, or we've said on this podcast where like you'll go into a store and just to look for something, and I feel like I need to purposely buy something to walk out of the store. It could be a candy, it could be I have to buy something, so it makes it look like I'm not walking out with like empty-handed, as if I'm stealing something. And you're like, I never felt like this.
Yeah. No, literally. And I will go throughout a store for like a half hour. I will pick up and touch a million things and whatever, and I will just leave. The only thing that I told you I could relate to with that is if I have an especially large purse, I always make sure it looks like I'm putting stuff back and not putting it in my purse, because there's been a couple times where like, say I have to get my phone or something out of my purse while I'm browsing, I like very purposely hold whatever it is in my other hand or whatever to make it seem like I'm not putting it in my purse. Mm-hmm. I grew up thinking that if I ever went in my purse that people thought I was stealing. Like, I'm like, no.
Well, you're white, so they'll be like, let me just see your purse. If there's something in there, you'll be good to go. They won't automatically assume, but that's another thing. So going throughout our relationship, this is like, I would say that's the first year first year of the relationship, getting used to this culture,
Navigating.
and everything, and yeah, finding out our quirks, how they work. And I gotta say, at least the first maybe 2 going to 3 years were rough. Well, I would say first year was cool. It's like the honeymoon
Right.
thing. I feel like it was between the second to third years when things got like bumpy, and I was like, I don't know if we're gonna make that.
This is also when we moved in together.
No, this wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Oh, was it?
We were together a year and a half a year and 3/4 when we moved in.
Damn.
Because 2014 we got together, and 2016 we moved in.
Okay.
So yeah, that year 2 to 3 was probably the worst.
Yeah.
And I mean, that it's for a lot of reasons. Part of it is I was having mental health issues and dealing with a lot of suppressed emotions and trauma coming up with moving out. And then, us navigating that together and just navigating moving in together when both of us had lived with both our parents before this. We never lived by ourselves or with roommates or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was an adjustment.
Yeah, and
I think that's when we started therapy in that year. Maybe like 2017.
Maybe 2017, but I think 2018 is what sticks to me. 2018 going into 2019.
No, it didn't go into 2019.
Okay, well, at least 2018, maybe 2017.
Right. It was between those couple years, I think.
But one thing that sticks to me, and I remember this, that's like the pivotal moment where I was like, wow, it got real close, was when we went to, it's like around 2017, went to my friend's wedding, and like we were not liking each other at that time period. We were just like, yo, I don't rock with you.
Yeah, and so that was a little under a year we had lived together. And yeah, I'm pretty sure we were in therapy at this point. I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so. I think it.
Or was that the turning point?
That's what started.
Is that what made us finally?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
I don't think so.
Yeah, that was rough. that was
Yeah.
That was a bad time. Like we were trying to enjoy being somewhere else because it was not a wedding around here, but then at the same time, just other stuff was coming up, and it was
I will say though,
and weddings and everything. There's a lot of emotions around them, and
I will say though, it was a cool experience outside of that part of like I've been to Philly before for like it was in Philly, so we went there, and I've been there for like school trips. But like just to go there and like we went to the museum where the like Rocky Steps are and stuff like that, and then we went to like some local place to eat, and like I really liked just that experience of just having a day to like travel and see something. I thought like that I'm gonna remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a turning point. So going into that,
I can still like see things that happened on that trip. Mm-hmm. Like when I remember it, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it goes to show you, like always, you never really know what's going on in people's relationships because I can guarantee, I mean, they also, were preoccupied because it was obviously their wedding, but like your friends had zero idea. Like, because obviously we go to the wedding, we're all hunky dory and like everything's fine. We're taking pictures, we're dancing, we're whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's that always fascinates me is how much people have to put on a face when they're having a tough home life. And that I guess that goes for everybody.
But what do you expect? Do you expect them to be like, oh man, we're going through a tough thing right now, man.
Yeah,
I don't want to deal with you. Like no one wants to be around that negative person that's going through stuff.
I know. I always find it fascinating because it always makes you wonder, like there's people that's why again social media is so deceiving because some people, you're made to believe they're in like these fairy tale relationships. Mm-hmm. And it's weird because part of you wants to believe it because I still think people can have authentically successful, romantic, intense, amazing relationships. And there are some people who really do get along pretty much all the time. Like that does exist. I'm not saying it doesn't, but then it just always makes you wonder because people are posting and they also post good stuff when they're going through bad times.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
It could be both. That's the thing, you never know.
That doesn't make, because you're like, yeah, you can have it to go off on a tangent here, like, yeah, there's people that have great relationships, don't have a lot of issues. There's people that have, issues every now and then, regular stuff, and then there's people that are just horrible for each other and have a lot of issues. So it's like, you could say that with anything.
Well, like, I know, but I just find it fascinating because everybody paints a picture.
I mean,
and you never know. Well, the picture could be true, but it also could not. I just find it very fascinating because, and the scary part is you could even like be going through stuff that basically all the closest people to you don't even know about. Yeah. Like that's what's wild too, is that it is so private and it's so serious or whatever the case may be that it's like you just keep it in like the whole time.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, relationships and home life and stuff, it fascinates me. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of scary at the same time if you think about it. Because, yeah, that's how a lot of, like, domestic abuse and stuff happens.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was kind of a tangent.
All right. We're just moving across throughout the years, so.
We're going through. So, yeah, we moved in Well, we bought our condo September 2016. We moved in, I think it was, the last day of September 2016. Mm-hmm. And then went through our first holidays together. And then, like we said, we fast forward almost a year. And then that's when we found ourselves starting therapy together.
Yeah. So we went to therapy and things were rocking. Things were good. Had a lot of epiphanies, I would say, for the both of us, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I really liked it because I've been in therapy on and off since I was like 14. So I've already done that individually, but doing it with another person, a different set of eyes and ears, was nice because not only was I growing in the relationship, I felt like I was able to grow personally as well because you get so used to the same therapist. Mm-hmm. And it becomes almost easy, dare I say, because things like you kind of are just going through the motions rather than tackling like the core stuff.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that core stuff came up in our sessions. And so I thought that was really good.
Yeah. That was good. Like, during those sessions, like things were working. And then our therapist, like, abruptly, like, something happened and I think they had to, like, move or something or had to, I don't know, something
They
happened.
let her go.
Oh, was that it?
They let her go. And then when I looked her up on Facebook, yes, she moved. So I don't know. I don't know what happened there. She moved down south. I think maybe Kentucky rings a bell. I don't know. We saw her, though, roughly, I think about 8 months is how long we were in there.
Yeah.
So.
And I feel like a part of us, I feel like at the time we were probably going to like stop,
somewhat
at least within
soon.
like the 3 or 6 months. So I mean, it was just abrupt and we weren't expecting it.
Right. And thankfully it wasn't like in the first month or two.
Yeah. So we went through that and then I think we tried finding someone else since it's like, okay, I mean, we still kind of want to go through stuff and like.
Well, no.
No?
So at this time, so the owner of that practice called and obviously let me know what happened. And then she said, well, I can take over for you guys if you still want that. And we had agreed we were good at this point. We were like, no, we don't want to like start with someone new. We think we're all right now. Mm-hmm. So we did that. And I don't know how long that lasted, maybe 6 months to a year, somewhere around there. And we wanted to try her, the one that offered, and see what happens. And then we tried her. We went to 2 sessions, and that was it. This therapist was not the fit for us, to put it nicely. She basically just flat out said to us that it's like we were probably better off splitting. Like, it just sounded like, I guess, we were hopeless, which was crazy to me because at that point, I feel like it really wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know. So here's the thing. The two of us, we are opposite in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And I think that is part of what has caused some of the contention.
Yep.
Which happens to a lot of people because it's either your strength or your weakness.
Yep.
And you have to learn how to, like, make it your strength together kind of thing. And I think maybe just because we seemed so opposite that it seemed overwhelmingly, like, difficult everybody. But I know she said maybe for us to try individual therapy on our own because obviously, like, yes, everybody's messed up. Everybody needs their own therapy too. Like, come on. Mm-hmm. But and here's the thing. Her whole demeanor was different. She felt just cold, standoffish, not reciprocating, and just it was not the same feel at all. And so then when she literally in that second session, and we already felt after the first one, like we were like, meh, but we gave it another go because you know how sometimes you gotta like warm it up. And just in that second session, when she was that blunt, we were just like, no.
Yeah, and it was hard for me. Like it's hard for me to like it's therapy, so you have to be like open and out there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't know what it was, but it was hard for me like to articulate myself to her. Like I just had it wouldn't like
the vibe.
Yeah, like I couldn't let anything out to like make my thoughts make sense verbally. Mm-hmm. So that happened. Obviously, we didn't take that advice. So we pushed on, leading into 2019. We can go into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, going into 2019. So this is probably late 2018 going into 2019 is when, okay, let me back up a bit. So back like July of 2018, I bought, no, was it?
2017.
I had it for that long.
You had it for a year and a half, remember? I told people you had it for a year and a half, and they were like, whoa.
Oh, wow.
Here's the funny part. So what they don't know, he bought my engagement ring the month before we went on the trip to Philly and had that explosive epiphany day. Mm-hmm. So that's what's so crazy here is like, it just blows my mind how stuff can change.
Yeah, so
he sat on it.
I held this ring and I was like, I feel like, okay, man, we're getting deep into this one. But it's a real episode.
This is real life.
The house, I was cool with my home situation, so I didn't really feel like moving, but I was like, okay, fine, I'll move in with you. We bought a condo. Cool. And it was kind of like a thing for you and not really a thing for me that I really like cared to do because I didn't need to do it.
Yeah, I was ready. And I had been saving since I was 16. All my jobs always went into savings for a down payment on eventual place because I knew I wanted to buy and not rent. Mm-hmm. So I was ready. I was like mentally and just physically. And I was like, I'm ready to do this. And so when I finally found somebody and I was at the age where we could, because I'm always the person who I felt older than I actually was. So, like, when I was 16, I already wanted to move out, but, like, I couldn't, obviously. So now, I think I had just turned 23 when we moved out, and you were 22, almost 23. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's still young, but you're an adult, at least at that point. And, we had pretty steady jobs, and we were ready. So, yeah, I was ready.
You went into a whole tangent. I say that to say... You made that decision, and I kind of was like the passenger, and I was like, okay, fine, you can go, and I'll just be here for the ride.
That's interesting. So that kind of shows where some of that led into issues then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it came to the ring, I was like, at the time, there wasn't a lot of issues, stuff like that. Of course, it got deeper, so that's why I didn't pop the question. But, I sat on the ring for a year and a half, and...
Because you said you originally were you going to propose on that trip to Philly?
No.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
No.
Then I don't know where I got that from.
Yeah, I would never do that.
Right. Yeah, because that would have been weird because it's a wedding. But yeah, never mind.
It probably would have been later that year, probably around our anniversary is my thought if I was thinking that.
Okay. Never mind.
So I sat on it and I was like, I'm not proposing to someone that I don't see myself like being with. Like I'm not doing it for her. I'm doing it for me, like how it should be.
Right.
And I was true on this because I'm like, I'm not going to be unhappy. My whole thing, if anyone knows me, I live on being happy. We have a limited amount of time on this world. I'm just trying to smile, laugh, and die happy. So I sat on the ring, and as 2018 was coming to a close, things were getting better, and I believe this was like, when was it? Like December of 2018. I was like, okay, I think I'm ready for this. So
And then that's our 4-year anniversary at that point.
Yeah. But here's the thing. So we planned a trip for Mexico, right? Yeah. For Mexico. And I was like, I think I'm going to propose for Mexico. Thought out a whole plan, throughout the last few months. And told your dad probably like a week or 2 or 3 before we went to the trip for Mexico. Literally, like, I think I had the day off. And I knew where he worked. I Googled it and like stalked. I knew he got off at a certain time. Like literally followed him.
We did a whole podcast on how like the engagement happened. So you're gonna have to go back to like when we first recorded podcasts, but it's cute.
Yeah. And yeah, did all that thing. Like literally, I remember it to this day. Like it was at some like by like a TD Bank.
And like, I know the TD Bank you're talking about.
Yeah, like literally in the parking lot, and like I had Missy with me just in the back because I didn't want to leave her in the house. And yeah, so I was like, okay, cool. I feel comfortable with this. Let me make my move. Got your dad's blessings because you wanted that. So I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's cute.
And then yeah, so we go to Mexico. It's funny because I remember this where we were headed off of the plane to get into the Mexico airport. One of the steward.
Yes.
She was like, oh, you better post to her so like that or something.
Because what was it like when we were on the plane? I think, were we asking a question about one of the slips about how, like, we're a household, but we're not married or something? Yeah. We didn't know how to fill it out. And then, yeah, like, she was kind of alluding to, like, oh, like, you better make that happen.
I was so tempted to be like, oh, it's happening, but you were right there, so I can't be like,
just like, mm-hmm.
But yeah,
because of course, we've been together 4 years by this point. So like, of course, I'm over here like, tick tock.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing it in my time.
Okay, but the ladies understand. This is literally a trend on TikTok.
Guys don't. Yeah, I see the little thing where it's like, I think it's a Kendrick Lamar thing where it's like, ice to that, whatever it's called. It's like battering, and they're saying like ice, and the girl's pointing to her finger. I'm like, all right, stop, ladies.
Yeah.
But for all the guys there, I've said it in past podcasts. Do it when you're ready. That's like the best option, if anything. I
have to shush the dog.
Okay.
Because I think FedEx is here. So I don't want her to like bark really loud for you guys. So I ran off.
So yeah, it happened. We got to Mexico, and like literally, I was like, I don't know where I want to do this, how I want to do this. I don't know what to do. And I bought on Amazon these like fake rose petals because I can't bring like actual. I looked up on what you can bring through TSA, and that wasn't. You can't bring like actual flowers, I believe.
Really? See, I had no idea. I didn't know that's why you did that.
Don't quote me on that one. I believe. I'm pretty sure.
Interesting.
But so I found that on Amazon, bought them. I'm like, oh, this is dope, and I didn't know where I'm gonna use them, whatever. But the point came where later that night we go back to the room after having a great first day in Mexico, and you go to take a shower. And then I'm like, shoot, this is a perfect time. So I'm sitting here scrambling, throwing petals down, propping up a camera, like getting everything
smart.
set.
He got it on camera, everything.
I'm sitting here like, I am ready. I'm ready.
He literally was. Weren't you like on your knee for like 5 minutes?
Yeah, and had to get up because it was like some hard floor.
It's hilarious. Like he was just chilling there. You can hear the shower going. Like, oh, and it's hilarious because whenever I'm talking to bridal clients. And we go over my story, I tell them how you had said, okay, so I went to shower first and we were planning to go out to eat after we both showered because we had went to the pool, whatever. And you like alluded to, oh, like you should just get dressed. We're going to go right out afterwards. And I came back and I said, why would I do that? I'm just going to chill in my pajamas and cool down until you're done. And then I'll get dressed because, I wanted to be comfortable. And so he let off because obviously if he kept like pushing, it would have been obvious. Mm-hmm. And so here I am. When I come out of the bathroom, I'm in my pajamas. I got no bra on and he's filming this. And like, I'm like, oh, okay. So like instead of, I probably wouldn't have posted the whole video to Facebook anyway, but instead of posting the video, I took like strategic screenshots that I posted so that like my boobies don't look crazy without a bra on. So yeah, I mean, but that's funny. Have fun. And I'm not the only one that's done that either. There's other brides I've talked to that, yeah, it's like you don't want to be too obvious if it's something that they wouldn't normally do.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so that's how that happens. And pretty much, it was a great trip. We were all in happy La La Land from Mexico.
And sorry.
Go ahead.
Just before you move on, to put in perspective too, this trip was already going to be like amazing for me.
Yeah.
Because I, before this point, had never been anywhere past Pennsylvania, have never been on a plane, any of that. So this was the first, I called it like real vacation because, I went on a plane there and it's over, seas and it's a whole week and it's this fancy resort and like, it was legit. Like, this was already a vacation we had just planned because it was just time to take a vacation. It was time to, like, start living. So, and we saved up for it. So, that was already going to be amazing. So, he kind of just capitalized on that and made it, like, even more. Mm-hmm. And then, like, there was this girl who was following us around the resort. Remember, who worked there because we told her how we got engaged. And, like, so she's all like, oh, celebrating the engagement. And, like, she was so cute. So, like, it just kind of made it even better. And I literally told him, I was like, well, this is going to be, like, impossible to top now because this is, like, the trip for me. Mm-hmm. The pinnacle. So...
And I still want to go back to that resort in Mexico. I thought that was bomb.
No, same. It was amazing.
All right, so on to the next thing. So we get back, and pretty much from there, it's on to planning a wedding because you did not want to wait for it.
So, put this in perspective. Okay, we got engaged on January 6th, 2019. We got married December 15th, 2019. The reason is, like we referenced earlier, it was already our anniversary. I always thought that was cute. Literally, whoever I ended up with, I wanted to get married to them on our original anniversary. That was like always the plan for me. And so the thing was, last year our anniversary was on a Sunday. So if we didn't get married last year, we would have had to wait like several years for it to roll back around to a weekend. And at that point, it's like, you already want to be done with it. Who's going to all right. So, yeah, so we got married within 11 months, which I will say, I don't think was crazy. I think it was a little bit faster than a lot of people do. I think the average is like a year and a half. Mm-hmm. But there was still some like lingering around, like in the middle of the year. There was still like waiting periods.
Yeah.
So I feel like it wasn't a rush as if like we did 2 months, but it wasn't, I don't know. I just think it wasn't a bad amount of time. So it actually worked out. And then obviously... then this year happened. And so it ended up really working out. So,
okay. So fast forward through all that. December 2019, we're married. Hey, we did an episode on it. You could check back if you want to listen to that whole recap on the wedding day.
Yeah.
And yeah, so here we are a year later. Brought you guys full circle here. You see how I did that? See how we did that. But so a year of marriage. We were not expecting this to go how it's been, as I'm sure a lot of you that are listening can understand. We started off, I think, the end of December of last year or the beginning of January with like our goals. We were super excited going into New Year's. We were sitting there at like Dave & Buster's, like having a great dinner, gonna play some games and have a great New Year's. And we're sitting here talking about our goals and what we plan on doing and crushing it, come 2020. And yeah, 3 years in, things were going, but it crashed.
3 months in.
Sorry, 3 months in, it crashed. And yeah, I will say, I've heard it from some people about like, man, like your first year of marriage is tough, but like going through your first year of marriage with being stuck in the house all the time, it must be real tough. It's like, I've heard that a few times and I'm just like, not really.
Yeah, it's funny because I've had like a couple of people ask me and just be like, oh, so like, how's that going? Like, you're not, taking each other's heads off yet, or you're not like, the whatever the phrases are. And I'm just like, no. And like, it's funny. I joked with some people earlier in the year when the pandemic was first starting, like we played more Mario Party together. And like, I would joke with people how, no, just like the cause of our divorce will be that, we fought over Mario Party in a pandemic and like stuff like that. I mean, yeah, we've still had like obviously like our quarrels here and there because we're human. And yes, I think we're both experiencing individual stresses, especially like work related and all that, and not having the outlets we used to have before. And then obviously if you bring that in the relationship, that can cause contention. But I mean, as long as you're not like letting it take over. And I think the people having the hardest time are probably the people who already had a really tough relationship.
Yeah.
It just kind of escalated it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like in the early stages of Corona, sorry to go back to this.
The Rona.
It was tough to get adjusted because, like, here we are, stuck in our house, and like you have your work to do, you have your meetings, appointments, I have my meetings, appointments, all that stuff. So it's like we only have one office space.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a small place. It's not like we have a freedom to like one go upstairs, one go downstairs, one go living room, kitchen, whatever. Like I can see you from pretty much any angle of this house.
Yeah, I know, right? And here we can hear each other, like no matter where we go.
So it's just, other than that, it's just getting adjusted to it. And then, like for me, like my work-life balance is like all over the place, and it's gotten better. But currently, it's a stressful period because of the end of the year. But
yep, yeah, and then I'm like kind of stressed right now because I'm working on crazy projects. But again, like then you just make do, like. I think it's just not taking all that stuff out on each other, because that definitely can make it worse. I mean, for anybody at any time, not even just a pandemic.
Yeah, and like I will say, like I do miss, like it really sucks. Like not the last few years, we've done it like probably twice so far, I believe, where we've gone to like Dave and Buster's and we like gotten something to eat, played some games, and like just celebrated there together.
Yeah, I think it was our first year when we lived here, and we were all excited, and I remember like pictures and stuff. And then it was last year we did it again.
Yeah, and like
it was a lot of fun.
It sucks that we can't do that again.
Yeah, because I think it's fun because then, like, what was it? 2017 we got together with some friends, and then 2018 we were just here by ourselves, and that was lame. And now we're here again by ourselves because what are we going to do this year? You know what I mean? Like, we can't really get together with friends.
And things are probably going to be closed. Like, Dave and Buster's. Well, and also, I don't want to play games with everyone else's hands touching stuff.
Exactly. It's not like I really even have a desire to do that right now. So there's that. Like, so it's kind of a bummer. So we're just navigating the holidays during this.
Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. So I would say, what do you feel like, we, I guess, quote unquote, survived a year of marriage, now going on to year 2 as of, the time this episode comes out. Any predictions, thoughts, anything on what your outlook of what the next year of marriage would be?
I mean, just cruising. It's one of those, I don't know, I guess you just kind of get to a point where you're in it, you're living and the day to day. I mean, I know you and I are currently like working on it, enhancing our relationship and still like, making our communication better and like all this stuff. So like, we're still working on that because that's always a work in progress. So I guess that'll continue to improve and be more effective.
Yeah.
So there's that. Besides that, I mean, kind of the same because honestly, we are in a weird year right now where it's like we don't know what next year holds. I mean, probably at least the first half of the year is still pandemic. So, like, I think it's more so what does it hold for each of us individually and how do we bring that into the relationship?
Oh, we're going to be talking about that next week.
Right. So whether that could be good stuff or stressful stuff.
Yeah.
Or probably both.
Yeah.
So I think that's more what it's about because honestly, it's like you and I we're just cruising. But, I hope to have a little more fun next year because, it kind of, that's the thing. It kind of did, obviously, with all the, whether it's businesses closed or masks or all the restrictions and not wanting to be around a ton of people. It just, we're always homebodies anyway. But
when you're forced to be.
Yes, it's the idea that when you can't have something, that's when you want it. You know what I mean? Like it's always that. So now it's like I just hope maybe next year to live a little bit more.
I would have loved to like have like, you know, maybe like your friends over and my friends over like for New Year's. Like I was thinking about like doing that. I think something we talked about.
We did talk about it last year.
And like here we go.
And
Can't do that.
Right. And we were excited and we were hoping it was going to happen, and then now it's not even an option. So yeah. Yep.
Yeah, the next year, I'll say the outlook for our marriage, I think, probably cruising, doing the things we have been doing for the next 6 months, and I hope, you know, the later half of 2021, we're able to, like, go out on, like, actual dates, and, like, you know, who knows? By this time next year, we may be able to have a New Year's outdoors somewhere, like, out of the house, not, like, literally outdoors.
Yeah, no, that'll be fun. Or at the very least, like, be with friends, even if it's in our house.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it's not such a threat if you see people you don't live with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be cool. And then, like, even the simple fact of, like, a date like bowling or a movie theater. We used to go to so many movies.
Movies are going to be dead.
And I know. So it's like simple things like that. Like, we're not anything extravagant. Like, we don't go on these crazy dates. You know, we don't spend tons of money. But, like, simple stuff like that, it's just not the same right now. You know, you don't want to wear a mask. You don't want to be touching all this stuff. You don't want to be around people. So it's not happening. But even that stuff, would love to do that again.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm sure a lot of people would.
Yeah. I mean, clearly, people are getting tired.
I think with this next episode is where it's going to continue and expand on what our 2021 goals are. I'm hoping to have an episode next week where we talk about, you know, same thing we did at the beginning of this year where we talked about like what our goals were for 2020 and what we plan on like achieving. Do
we want it to be next week or the week after when it's leading up to New Year's?
The week after.
Okay.
Next week, I mean.
Oh, next. Okay, next so the 22nd.
Because holidays are tricky. I'm going to just be open and honest with everyone listening. Holidays are tricky because I don't know about you guys, but it's tough for me to listen to, you know, my podcast going into holidays. So yeah, before it goes into Christmas, we're gonna throw this episode out.
Okay.
Because it's a struggle, and I know some podcasters just take it off, and we didn't take it off last year.
We've never done that. We haven't missed one episode.
Yeah, so like you know, keeping the content still going, regardless if anyone's listening, is what I'm trying to do, and as we're doing these episodes, I want to bring the focus back to us and what it was before, you know, Corona back in March and April, leading all the way up until, you know, the election has kind of like thrown us off of our pivot and has made things less of like an enjoyable conversation and making it more of like you're tired, you're overdosed on this toxic information that we're being fed all the time. So going into 2021, hoping to continue making a pivot, having good conversations, growing, all that stuff. I think that's where we're gonna close out on, if that's good with you.
Yeah, that's cool.
I will say, guys, if you are new, or even if you're not new and you've listened to us for a while, if you haven't heard like a lot of these episodes we've covered about like being in an interracial relationship, our wedding day, you know, we did throughout the whole 2019, we did you know, maybe every month or every other month, we did like an update on wedding, how that's going. So we have a lot of content. You could check back throughout our podcast archive to see if you want to listen to anything. We go in a lot more detail than what we covered here because we don't want to just talk your ear off, especially when this podcast that are more at that time of what was happening and can more accurately tell you everything. So please check that out if you're interested. Yeah, it's just going into 2021, happy, positive, healthy, all that great and fun stuff. Yeah. With that being said, guys, I'm going to close this out. Next week, we'll touch on what our 2021 goals are.
Which means I have to work on that this week because I currently have no idea because I've been so consumed with my projects. But I needed to work on it anyway because I need to have some sort of vision for next year. Mm-hmm. So I'll get you.
So, with that being said, if you made it to the end of this podcast, guys, thank you for listening. I I'll save you guys from the spiel of going over iTunes and Etsy shop, but those links are in the description if you want to, take a look or give us 5 stars.
Oh, and P.S. before you completely exit out. So I had to include it somehow. So if you are a Swiftie, tell us what is your favorite song off the new Taylor Swift album.
Don't tell us. Just tell Lauren. I don't.
Mine is
hear.
Tolerate It. It's just we've all been there. So
I don't want to hear it. So just tell Lauren.
Let us know.
Lauren know.
DM us, email us.
DM Lauren. Email Lauren.
DM us. We're Paging the Simpsons on Instagram. Our email is pagingthesimpsons@gmail.com. Let us know.
Let Lauren know. I don't want to know.
Put the title as For Lauren Only.
Pretty much. I don't want to know.
All right, let a girl know because, come on now. I know some of you got to be listening. So if you made it this far, let me know.
All right, guys. With that being said, I'm Shadell, co-host of Paging the Simpsons. I'm joined by my lovely wife,
Lauren.
and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Peace out.